In this video, I will cover the Department of State Office of Inspector General, the watchdog of our nation's primary federal executive department for foreign relationships. I'm Nicholas, and this is the Law Enforcement Agency Information Channel. The Department of State Office of Inspector General, or DOS-OIG for short, is a civilian-staffed investigative United States federal law enforcement agency that falls under the Department of State, or DOS for short. The Department of State Office of Inspector General is responsible for investigating acts of fraud, waste, misconduct, and corruption within the Department of State, U.S. Agency for Global Media, or the U.S. section of the International Boundaries and Water Commission. The Department of State Office of Inspector General operates both domestically and internationally. Specific duties of the Department of State Office of Inspector General include investigating corruption, conducting criminal investigations into corruption within Department of State or affiliated independent agency programs, overseeing Department of State or affiliated independent agency operations, and much more. Additionally, the Department of State Office of Inspector General may also assign special agents to protect the Secretary of State at the request of the Diplomatic Security Service or at the request of the Secretary of State. Now, typically, with the Diplomatic Security Service does not need assistance from other agencies, as it has over 2,500 special agents. It especially does not need assistance from an agency with only a federal law enforcement agency with only 300 special agents, and that agency I'm referring to is the Department of State Office of Inspector General. But while the Department of State Office of Inspector General is not the biggest federal law enforcement agency out there, it is one of the biggest federal Inspector General agencies out there. That's really it for their responsibilities. The Department of State Office of Inspector General reports to the Secretary of State, who reports to the President of the United States. The Department of State Office of Inspector General works with multiple agencies. Many of the agencies they work with are Federal Inspector General agencies, specifically ones that fall under a executive department or independent agency with similar focuses and responsibilities. For example, they collaborate with the United States Agency for International Development Office of Inspector General, the Department of Defense Office of Inspector General, and much more. Department of State Office of Inspector General special agents have authority to carry firearms and make arrests just like any other federal law enforcement officer. They have jurisdiction throughout the United States and its individual territories to investigate corruption within the Department of State or any affiliated independent agencies. They derive their authority and jurisdiction from they derive their authority and jurisdiction from the Inspector General Act. The Department of State Office of Inspector General trains its special agents at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Glencoe, Georgia. They specifically train at the Criminal Investigators Training Program, which lasts approximately 12 weeks. The program is composed of multiple courses. This includes courses regarding firearms tactics, physical tactics, criminal investigations tactics, and vehicle tactics and much more. But they primarily, a lot of their training revolves around firearms tactics, as many of the foreign locations that Department of State Office of Inspector General special agents operate at are located in active war zones, such as Afghanistan. While they do primarily operate within the U.S., they do also operate foreignly. So that's why they're kind of prepared during their training for anything that can go wrong. But aside from that, Department of State Office of Inspector General special agents primarily carry Glock 19s or Glock 17s on duty. But during their training, they are trained to carry both standard firearms and high-powered firearms.